You close your eyes when your body tells you to. Not when the clock does. There is no alarm. No blue light bleeding through a screen. No number you have to hit before you allow yourself to rest. You simply drift, and when your body is finished, you wake. It could be midnight. It could be 3 in the morning. It does not matter. Because for roughly 300,000 years, that was the only sleep schedule your ancestors ever knew. Today, over 1/3 of adults in the United States report not getting enough sleep. The American Sleep Association puts that number at more than 70 million people suffering from a chronic sleep disorder. 70 million. In the single most technologically advanced civilization in human history. Most people cannot do the one thing their body was built to do, so what went wrong? And what did sleep actually look like before everything went wrong? The answer starts not in a bedroom but in the dirt. In 2015, anthropologist Jerome Siegel at UCLA published a landmark study in Current Biology. His team did something almost no one had done before. They attached sleep monitors to 3 groups of hunter-gatherers who were still living without electricity: the Hadza of Tanzania, the San of Namibia, and the Simane of Bolivia. 3 groups. 3 different continents. All 3 completely unconnected to the modern grid. And what they found shattered almost every assumption the medical world had been making about natural human sleep. The average sleep duration? 6 to 7.5 hours per night. Not the 8 hours your doctor recommends. Not the 9 your body craves after a hard week. 6 to 7.5. These were people with no alarm clocks, no obligations at a fixed hour, and no artificial life forcing them awake, and they still slept less than most sleep researchers expected. But here is where it gets stranger: they did not go to sleep at sundown. They went to sleep, on average, about 3 hours and 20 minutes after sunset. They did not go to sleep at sundown. They went to sleep, on average, about 3 hours and 20 minutes after sunset. They were awake in the dark, sitting by the fire, talking. And they woke up just before or around sunrise, almost always before it was fully light. Siegel's team noted that their core body temperature was still dropping when they fell asleep and rising when they woke, meaning they were riding a precise biological wave your body still generates every single night. Your thermostat. Your internal clock. It has been running the same program for hundreds of thousands of years. You just stopped listening to it. Now picture it. Really picture it. The fire is low. The sky above the acacia tree is packed with stars, no light pollution. No haze, just the raw ceiling of the galaxy. Your ancestor is not anxious about tomorrow. The concept of tomorrow as a scheduled obligation simply does not exist in the way you know it. The Hadza word for worry does not carry the same chronic, forward-projecting weight that the English word does. Anthropologist James Sussman, who spent decades living with and studying the Jew/Hoansi San people of the Kalahari, wrote extensively about this in his book Affluence Without Abundance. He observed that hunter-gatherers spent remarkably little time in a state of anticipatory dread. They dealt with problems as they arrived. And then they slept. Your ancestor leans back. The ground is not a mattress. It is hard-packed earth or a simple skin laid over it. Skeletal analysis of early Homo sapiens, as well as studies of living hunter-gatherer populations documented by anthropologist Carol Worthman at Emory University, shows that ancient humans slept in a semi-social arrangement, bodies near other bodies, often in small groups, sometimes touching. Not for romance. For warmth. For predator detection. For the simple neurological comfort of proximity that your nervous system still craves and almost never gets. You were never designed to sleep alone in a sealed room. Think about that. The isolated bedroom, one person, one bed, 4 walls, a locked door, is an invention of the last few centuries, and it is a wealthy world invention at that. For most of human history, sleep was communal. Children slept with parents. Elders slept near the group. The Aka foragers of Central Africa, studied in depth by anthropologist Barry Hewlett, showed almost no separation between infant sleep and adult sleep. Babies were in contact with a caregiver for the vast majority of their sleeping hours. Continuous contact. Not a crib across the room. not a monitor with a camera. Physical presence, and here is the counterintuitive twist that changes how you look at your own nights. Ancient humans almost certainly did not sleep in one continuous block. The idea that a single 8-hour unbroken sleep is the natural human norm, that waking at 3 a.m. means something is wrong with you, is almost entirely a product of the industrial age. Historian Roger Rickert of Virginia Tech spent over 2 decades researching pre-industrial sleep patterns across thousands of historical documents, diaries, court records, medical texts, literature, and published his findings in his 2005 book At Day's Close, Night in Times Past. What he found was overwhelming. For most of human history, people slept in 2 distinct segments, separated by an hour or 2 of quiet wakefulness in the middle of the night. They called the first period first sleep. They called the second sleep. The gap between them was not insomnia. It was normal. It was used for prayer, for reflection, for sex, for checking on children, for visiting neighbors. Some people ate a small snack. Some simply lay in a calm, meditative state that modern sleep researcher Roger Rickert argues may have been one of the most psychologically restorative periods in the human day. When you wake at 2 a.m. and stare at the ceiling and feel like your body is broken, your body is not broken. Your body is doing what it was always designed to do. The problem is not your biology. The problem is that the world no longer has a place for the gap. The Industrial Revolution changed everything. Gas lamps. Then electric light. Then the factory shift schedule that demanded a single fixed block of unconsciousness so you could be functional and punctual for someone else's clock. Thomas Edison, who famously slept as little as possible and bragged about it, called sleep a waste of time, and his invention, the light bulb, did more to damage the human sleep cycle than almost any other technology in history. Artificial light suppresses melatonin, the hormone your brain releases to prepare your body for sleep. It does this by tricking your suprachiasmatic nucleus, the tiny cluster of neurons behind your eyes that acts as your master clock, into reading light as daytime. Every screen you look at after dark is doing the same thing. Your brain does not know the difference between a campfire and an iPhone. It only knows light or dark. And right now, it thinks it is permanently noon, so let's go back to that fire one more time. Your ancestor wakes in the dark. Maybe 2, maybe 3 hours after falling asleep. The embers are orange. Someone nearby stirs and falls still again. There is no pressure. No notification. No catastrophic story being told by an algorithm designed to keep your nervous system activated. The gap is quiet. Your cortisol, the stress hormone, is at its lowest. Your brain is consolidating memory, pruning unnecessary neural connections, cycling through something researchers now call slow-wave sleep and REM sleep in a sequence your modern schedule constantly interrupts. Your ancestor lies in the dark, breathes, maybe speaks quietly to the person beside them, and then drifts back under. The second sleep is deeper. More restorative. The kind of sleep that leaves you waking with something that feels almost like peace. You wake up when your body is ready. For 300,000 years, that was not a luxury. It was not a weekend experiment. It was not something you had to schedule into an app and protect with blue light glasses and a white noise machine. It was simply what sleep was. And somewhere beneath all the alarms and the screens and the sealed rooms and the pressure to be unconscious on schedule and conscious on demand, your body still remembers exactly how it was supposed to work.